Here I will discuss the MATLAB built-in functions for numerical differentiation. Now, actually, MATLAB has no real built-in functions for numerical differentiation, and you should implement these finite difference schemes that we have derived or that I have shown or are provided to you. You should implement them yourself. They're quite often not so hard to implement, but there are no standard built-in functions in MATLAB for you to do so. Now, the diff commands can, however, be used in order to construct these schemes in your programs, and you can decide whether or not you want to use them, to use this command. It's a quite simple command. It's a function. So the input that you plug in there is a vector, which consists in this case of n elements. So a vector v with elements v1, v2, v3 up until vn. And the output, what the diff function will give back to you, is the difference, the element-wise difference between adjacent elements in your vector that you have plugged in. So you can, for instance, or use this to construct a forward difference scheme, because you see that this differencing is something that could come in handy here. So let's take a look. A forward difference scheme, this consists of taking a forward difference in function values and a forward difference in input values x. So here for this example, I just create some numerical data for a sine function. So I let x range from 0 to 2 pi. I make the function f of x is sine of x here. And then we can directly plug in this forward difference formula using this diff function. So by using diff on y, so on my function values, this will automatically construct a vector which has the differences between adjacent entries within my vector. And I can do the same thing with x. So in this way, I directly implement this formula here and assign it to this variable dy dx. Also note that this output, so the output vector d here has one less element, because you cannot subtract from vn the value of vn plus 1, because vn plus 1 does not exist, obviously. So when I apply this, if you run this code, what you will see is, well, this vector y, which holds our initial function f, which is a sine function. And then by implementing this forward difference scheme, I was able to recover the something which at least closely looks like the derivative of the sine function, which is a cosine function. But the general advice here is that, well, this diff command can come in useful in some cases, but the general advice is that you should implement these finite difference schemes by yourself.